So, most people think retirement is the dream, right? More freedom, more time, finally enjoying life. But here's the shocking truth: for many women, retirement is the very moment they spiral into depression. Why? Because when the career title, the daily routine, even the kids are gone, so is their sense of identity. In today's episode, we are exposing the hidden dangers that no one talks about with Maria Lucasen, a retirement coach who helps women all over the world. She's here to show us how we can flip the script, right? Instead of losing yourself, you can make retirement the most alive and vibrant time, purpose driven. Have it be the most purpose-driven chapter of your life. So stay tuned. This conversation is completely going to change the way you think about your future. And if you know people who are getting retired, you want to share this with them. So we'll see you in this week's episode. Welcome to True Wellness with Dr. D, the podcast where we explore what it takes to live with vitality, balance, and purpose. I am Dr. D, and each week I'll bring you powerful tools, inspiring stories, and expert insights to help you thrive in every area of your life. From health and wellness to mindset and navigating life's challenges, this podcast is your guide to creating a life of true well-being. Be sure to check the show notes and grab your free copy of the True Wellness Checklist so you can get started on your journey to true wellness right away. Now, let's get started. Hello there. Welcome, everybody. So, retirement isn't just about leaving behind work. It's actually about rediscovering yourself. My guest today, Maria Lucasen, is a retirement and reinvention coach who specializes in helping women rediscover their purpose, build their confidence, and embrace a life that's both fulfilling and affordable. He understands the unique challenges that come without losing identity post-career, right? And her compassionate, practical approach is the key to reigniting joy and meaning in this next chapter of your life. Having lived and worked across various cultures, Maria brings a very global perspective to retirement that makes her talks and workshops resonate with women throughout the world. And her core message is simple but powerful. It's be alive, and stay tuned to know exactly what that means. So Maria, I'm so thrilled to have you play here with us today and talk about how women can live with intention, stay bold, curious, and step into retirement without fear, but with the excitement of what's possible.
So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me, giving me the chance to talk about my favorite topic, retirement. And many people think about retirement because of the financial side. That's what is always talked about in the newspapers and on any article and website that you come. And often also people think of, when can I get my social security? But that are only two aspects of retiring. And I think retiring has so much more, because it can be 20 or even 30 years of your life that you still have in front of you, depending on if you retire when you're 60 or when you retire at 70. It makes a difference in your personal situation, how you are health-wise, financially, and everything else. But we do not control our time on Earth, and so postponing it for a longer time or later time, you might I have a neighbor here. She worked till she was 75. She always said she enjoyed what she was doing at an university as an administrator. And when COVID-19 came, I didn't see her anymore. She used to walk the dog, but the dog passed away. So, and then she fell, and she had to walk with crutches. And before you know, a year later, she passed away. She
Oh,
didn't have even a chance to enjoy her retirement, but
oh,
she loved work till 75. So if you love your work, but still work till 75 might not be really how you envisioned your retirement. Many people think it's kind of like a vacation, like just relaxing, enjoying, and having a good time. It's a lot of freedom in your retirement that you have. You can get up late and just not do anything at all, or you can keep yourself busy. And that's what I often hear really from many clients as well as friends who are retired already. I'm busy. I'm really busy. I'm doing more as what I used to do when I was working. But that's the thing, especially in the beginning, you might think of all the things that need to be done and that you have to have a calendar, a planner, a schedule that has everything on it. And maybe it might be good just to sit down and relax. And that's something you need to decide for yourself. How I'm going to define relaxation. What is that for me? What do I do if I want to relax?
yeah.
And what do I do not want to do when I feel stressed? What is that? Okay, and some people are stressed in retirement, and you think, oh, not necessarily the best experience for retiring. So, yeah, it's everybody thinks about it differently, but there's a lot of opportunity when you retire. Yeah.
Yes, yes. We have, in my practice at South Bay Wellness, we have a lot of women who are moving into retirement years and they're faced with so many thoughts. And I'll tell you, Maria, because this is your area of expertise. Sometimes what happens is they jump into retirement and they're super excited, they're ready, they're pumped up, and like the first 6 months or so, like everything is wonderful. And then I find for many of these women, sometime after that 6 month or so mark, they find themselves in like almost like a state of depression.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an idea that people do not expect
Yeah.
from retirement, because like I mentioned already, expectation is kind of like being on vacation. That might be just 1 or 2 weeks, and then you can enjoy, and you might go away to a resort or another beautiful place. Maybe even in your vacation you might go and hike somewhere or do some water sports or whatever, but you can't do those things every single day.
Now,
So thinking about what are activities that you could do besides seeing all the doctors, decluttering the house, working on your garden, and reading all the books that you didn't have time for. There are
yeah.
so many other things that can give your life meaning again, purpose again. Often we have our life for our career, where depending where you were working in a hospital, if you were working in one of the bigger stores, or just in an office like me, that's where you got your value. At least that's what you were thinking, because you were contributing to a certain position. You were respected by your co-workers, you saw them, you had a coffee together or lunch, and like that there was a lot of things happening in that life at work. And now all of a sudden that has all fallen away, and you don't have any purpose in life anymore. Maybe if you had kids, even those have gone away too. You are an empty nester because they are studying, or maybe you are already a grandma. Then you might have a new purpose in life because you might have little ones where you could look after once in a while. Not every day, but once in a while would be neat, maybe. So, yeah, you have to look at how much your situation has changed
Yes.
from when you were working to now. The whole structure of and routine of the day has gone, and that is something many don't expect. They think, okay, it's easy, I have a coffee and I'll see what happens, and then all of a sudden nothing happens and you're feeling stuck at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we have these grandiose visions of what retirement is. But it's not really a vacation, even though you have more free time. But then it sounds like what you're saying is there's the double-edged sword, because more free time then means we end up not taking on purpose and direction. And that's kind of where the spiral into depression comes from. I know that you talk about retirement is the time to be alive, ALIVE. Can you unpack what that means and why that is so transformative?
Okay, for me, being alive is somebody who is active, that's the A, who is loving or loved, and the V, no, alive, I is for inspiration, or you could also say intentional. Or
Yes.
the next one is having a vibrant life and enjoying your life. That are the five factors that I think, if that is all in my life, if I can say that, then I feel alive. Then I feel that am happy and I am joyful, and I have a good time in
Yes.
my retirement. And
Yes.
but each of them is has a different meaning, of course, because active has multiple um, things attached to it, from being healthy and being able to do things that you want to do. For me, health is one of my, not one, it's my most important value. I judge most of the things with, is it healthy for me to do this or not? Doesn't want to say that I won't eat an ice cream if I have to make a choice between something healthy and eating the ice cream. But if I have to look at, do I go for a walk or do I sit on the couch and watch TV? I might go for the walk. So,
Yes.
in that respect, is health at the forefront of my decision making. That it also helps me with activities that I want to do in my retirement. I try to do at least one thing every day to get either walk for 15 or 20 minutes or
Yeah.
longer if I can, or
Yes.
go to a gym. I play pickleball. You can go yoga, you can go swim, you can, there's so many activities that you can do that can keep you healthy. That's just an activity besides of cooking healthy meals and having a good lunch and things like that. So health is very important. That's one
Or
thing. And as I mentioned already, active, besides doing things to stay healthy. So for me, is big is volunteering that I do. Besides that, I'm a volunteer. I help with organizing, getting the food, setting everything up. Not only that, but of course, we want to have a lot of teams walking and fundraising for the good cause. So it's a year-long activity, events where we invite team captains and people like that. So yeah, the volunteering and in that way helping to raise funds for a cause that I think is important is something that, yeah, is part of my life and part of who I want to be in my retirement.
I love that. So what I hear you saying is retirement comes about choice. And it's funny, I had a conversation with a client today, and she's not ready to retire yet, but she was also going through that transition from, being a mom to now having older kids and being like, okay, so I just did all my work for the day, and like, now what? Like, what's my identity? And I'm hearing that shift occurs again when we retire. So what advice do you have for women who are they're either looking to retire or they have newly retired and they're kind of in this space where they're like, oh gosh, I don't know how to find what I like or what I enjoy or what brings me purpose and fulfillment.
Yeah, I know many feel that they have kind of lost their identity when they retire. Because usually when you would go somewhere, you would say, yeah, hey, I am Maria. And especially if it's professional, you would say, I am a manager for this or that somewhere. And now that falls away. You can say, of course, still, I'm the mom from whoever, but with a son of 22 or 23 might not always anymore be the choice that you make.
Yeah.
So finding something that is meaningful to you. And that is, yeah, you really have to sit down and start thinking, reflecting back on what is something that is interesting to you, what is something that you are really good at. Even now, some people have still hobbies, say like painting or
Yeah.
knitting, or like me, cooking and baking. There might be something in there that you can say, okay, maybe I can do something with that. Or look back at what it was in your first 10, 12 years of life as a child. What were things that you enjoyed doing there, and what got stopped because you had to go to school, high school, and it took just too much time? Some people have learned to play an instrument. I never did, but it's somewhere on my list. I want to start learning to play the drum. All my other brothers and sisters, they play, but I never got to it. So now I think, oh, that would be great if I could do that. I'm not musical at all, but I think I could play the drums. Yeah.
Wow.
So you need to find things that are interesting to you, that you think of, okay, how can I include them now in my life? You might want to be a mentor for something, for somebody. If you were good um, in certain things, you might be still a soccer mom, being on as a team coach if you were good in sports. I
Yeah.
never was good in sports, so it's not something that came up from me. I enjoy doing it more now, but I
Yes.
never did. So yeah.
So what I'm hearing is a couple things. I'm hearing like have fun with it, like explore new things that maybe you never thought of exploring before, or you thought of exploring but you never actually jumped into. So I'm hearing that, and I'm hearing like I'm hearing what you're speaking about as being courage, right? Like courage to step into maybe a new identity, to step into someone who you don't know yourself as, because there's almost retirement opens up this whole new world of exploration.
Exactly. And that's what in a way, what excites me. That there are so many opportunities out there, possibilities out there that you can do. And you can't do them all. You have to make choices
Yes.
in that respect. Because if you would look at my list, it has another 10 things that I think, oh, but there's only so much you can do in the 24 hours that you have, or in the time frame that you have. So it's look at something and say, okay, I like to discover this, I like to experience this, and do it. And if it's good, you keep going it. If it brings joy, if it gives you new connections with other people, so you get new friends,
Yeah.
then that's an awesome opportunity to follow. If not, then there's nothing lost. You know now, oh, not that. Maybe there is something else that I can do that brings me joy and that gives my life purpose, as well as, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what is important to note here too, that you said that I think is really pivotal, and the scientific research collaborates this, and that is having those social interactions and being part of a community. You know, they did a study. I believe it was the Harvard study that they did. They followed these men for I think it was an enormous amount of years. I don't remember the exact number. It was like 70 years or 90 years or something like that. And they measured their lifespan and what were those big predictors of mortality. And even more so than some of the things we might already dive into, like your lifestyle and your diet and your nutrition. One of the key big factors was that social connection. And if you look at the work that's been done on the blue zones, right, those
Yeah.
areas
Mhm.
of the world that have the highest amount of centenarians, people who are
Yeah.
100 or older, what they
Mhm.
found as one of those common threads was that sense of community, that sense of purpose, all of these things that you're speaking about today. So I'm guessing those are real big foundational pieces that we need to think about when we retire. How do we remain connected to our communities? How do we create new communities? How do we stay, connected to our families? You know,
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest uh, pillars of having a happy retirement is to have great connections. If you have family, and I hope then that you have a good relationship with your siblings, with your own kids, if you have, because they are the core of who you are and what brings you joy in life. If
yes.
you don't have that as much, for me, my relatives are all in Europe, so I am looking at all my friends here as being my close relationships. So there are people always in life moving in, moving out. I have had friends for 20, 25 years. She retired, her son lives in Utah and has now a little baby. So she moved over there, So there's always going that people are leaving and going to different places. But the other side, I joined a hiking group and I found some lovely friends there where I can hike with. And we also like to go for yoga together. So there's a couple of connections there. And then all of a sudden, I have 2 or 3 new friends. But that is up to you.
Yeah. So I know you've lived and you've worked across many different cultures. How would you say that global perspective has shaped the way that you coach women to really reimagine retirement?
Okay. One of the things that I see is that the world is small. It might be a big world, but the world is small, especially now with all the technology and all the travel possibilities. Um, there's only 12, 15 hours in between, and you can be somewhere else, somewhere totally different. And even there, people are retiring.
Yes.
People there too have the same problems of what I'm going to do with my life. So my sister, she retired when in her 50s already, and she found line dancing on YouTube. And since then, she is a trainer in line dancing in you just need to look of something that inspires an interest and that brings you joy. If that is something you like to do, go for it. First, join as somebody who watches and participates, and then maybe later you say, "Hey, I can do that too." You can do it either in person or you can do it online.
Yeah.
So there is, um, when you look now at what is offered on the internet, it's coming from all countries, and yeah, so everybody has that opportunity. Everybody can do something, yeah, and learn how to use all those technical gadgets.
I love it. I love it. Tell us, because I know this is your area of expertise, but tell us about some of the simple but maybe very powerful daily practices that can help people wake up with excitement and clarity about, this next chapter of their lives.
Yeah, I call it my power hour in the morning. When I get up, I usually it's actually the cat who wakes me up. So she then comes and snuggles for 5 or 10 minutes with me because she's happy that I'm still awake or awake again. And then most of the time, I start with a meditation, and then you might not think about it, but I have high blood pressure. So one of my routines is under control for the day. And then you can do some prayer, you can do some journaling, you can do some reading of a book that can set you, use that half hour for mental getting ready as well as physical getting. I can have some light weights that I can use for 10 minutes, and then I hop in the shower and I'm ready.
And now you're energized and prepared and ready to take on the day. I love this. This has been really great. Tell me, Maria, I always ask our guests, what are, so for those people who are listening, who are sort of in that space where either they've just retired, or maybe they're like years into their retirement and they don't even know what's next for themselves, or maybe they're in that phase where they're considering retirement, what 3 practical tips do you have for them?
But yeah, the first thing I would say is making time at the moment and sitting down and getting a piece of paper and really looking at what is it that you would like to accomplish in that next chapter of your life. Because you might have had a really fulfilling job, but at the other hand, there might be something else that you would love to share with the world. And that can be done by writing a book about it, can be done like me. I'm doing the podcast and being a coach and talking about retirement. So for me, this is my legacy, helping women see the opportunities that there are in that next season of their life. And yes, you have to look at what could I regret not doing
Oh,
in that
powerful.
next chapter of my life.
Yeah.
Because the saying goes that the burial grounds are the richest grounds in the world, because there are lots of people with really great ideas that I never practiced, that I never put on. So thinking about what could be something that you might regret on your last day would be something that if you want to travel somewhere, if you want to experience something somewhere and jump out of the plane, do it now. Don't wait until you're 80, but do it now. You can
Love
do it
it.
again when you're 80. But yes, look at those things. Two, one, two, three. Not sure here. But yes, there are 2 things definitely that you need to consider when you start looking at what can I do in my retirement. And like I mentioned earlier already, don't plan a full agenda. Leave time to sit down and just relax. And you have to get used to that. It's the same thing that I sometimes think, I'm just sitting here not doing anything. And then I just have to say, hey, but I'm really tired. I now have the freedom to sit there and not have to feel guilty that I I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I love that. That's pretty awesome. I know that's something I'm sure that when the time comes for me, I will not be sitting doing nothing. I don't know that I know how to do that. So I'll be like you, reinventing, recreating, continuing to spread messages of empowerment and joy and happiness in the world. Now, Maria, I mean, I'm so grateful to have you here and sharing your wisdom. Can you please tell our listeners, some of them may be on this path where they're looking to understand more about retirement? How can they find out about your podcast? How can they find out about you? Where should they go?
Okay. I'm not doing a weekly podcast like Daniela. Mine is once a month because I don't want to have the stress to record every week. So, and I like to invite speakers too to talk about different topics,
Yes.
health wise. Sometimes we use about finance. We do a lot also about purpose, about living by yourself, and all those different things.
Yes.
So the podcast is called Women Seeking Blissful Retirement. That's also the name of my Facebook group, where you're welcome to join me. And I post not every day, but a couple of times a week, things that I think are interesting. And I do some Facebook Lives there as well about topics about what to watch and to join. They are on the Facebook group. And then I have a website, which is Maria Lucasen HQ.com. And I also, well, can you read this? No, not sure if you can see it.
There you go. The Retirement Collective is the name of the book. The Retirement Collective. So they can find the Retirement Collective on
Yes,
Amazon. Uh-huh.
exactly. That's a book that we wrote with 14 different retirement coaches about how we see retirement, how we help people to find a happy retirement. And they're all different, but there are lots of good tips in there from other people about issues that might come up for you. So that's a book. And then I have a free assessment that I offer. It's a workbook that starts off with dreaming, and then there's some other after the 6 months of doing nothing.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you all for listening. And we'll see you next week for the next episode of True Wellness with Dr. D. Thank you, Maria. This is Dr. D reminding you to tune into your body, connect with what matters, and embrace the journey to true wellness. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to redefine their health. Be sure to grab a copy of the True Wellness checklist right in the show notes. Let's keep redefining wellness and empowering change together. See you for the next episode.